secret right now. Start talking smack about go-karts.
But
even though I love him, it amps him up every time.
No, I don't get amped up. But here's the thing. Tell me. Just look at me honestly and tell me that's not the coolest kart you've ever seen.
Well, I don't know how you're going to get in and out of it because I struggled.
I showed you.
I'm a tiny dude, and
I showed you how to get in there. Sink right down. It's molded.
I did. It was getting in and out. The out part was
easy
a little.
Easy. So we're going to try to have it on the track tomorrow night. We're going to get up there and try to get some test time before the last race and try to race it on Saturday.
Did you double lube the cable to the throttle this time? Both ends?
It's double checked.
Are you sure?
Couple little things to do still. But
I almost want Doc to check it for you.
I'm not having Doc check anything. He'll put me on a suicide mission.
He's good checking stuff.
What about that body that Mike Shank built?
Mike Shank is a craftsman.
He is. I told you.
I'm pretty sure he's really not going to like you going out and dirtying up and denting his hard work.
He just knows I'll have to bring it back to him and have it fixed. But that I can't tell you when I saw that car when it showed up here because I hadn't seen it until it showed up here, and I was just like, wow, that thing is cool. But you look at the cars we had here. I mean, you start at one end and go from Jerry Schramm's late model to the Katie's the 6M modified all the way through to Dakota Goddard, Ryan Ronnie, and Joey Tanner had two of the X Factor cars here. I mean, we had some seriously beautiful race cars. The fans, the general public, how many questions did we answer to the public? And that's what this is all about. Didn't you get sick of answering questions from people that weren't involved in racing?
Well, I never really get sick of talking racing, so not really. But the same question over and over gets kind of annoying. I was going to ask you this off air, but I'm going to go ahead and
hit me.
Are you going to do any plans in the future for like fan favorite vote or anything like that with next year's car show? Maybe.
We've talked about it every year. There was an award given out, and we're going to talk about that with James Whitehouse and Chris Sine. They had a gift to give out for the street stocks, best appearing street stock that was here. We were going to do a public vote on best appearing car, but to get that all set up and organized and tell everybody where to go and stuff, I think next year we'll just do the Moxie team will get together and kind of vote on the best appearing car. I'm glad we do it this year. Because in all the chaos and all the people, it would have been it would have been hard to name a best-looking car this year.
There were some beautiful cars here,
top to bottom, all the way down. I mean, how do you do it with the Schramm car and the Katie car and then the two X Factors, and then you had you want to look at the street stocks between Goddard and Langen and even Brody Sims' car, the flat black with the blue. Mm-hmm. Then you had the Amco modifieds that were here. Mm-hmm. You had.
One straight Camaro for the Baker team that's probably not going to be so straight come race 2.
Right. I mean, then you got look at Randy Cool. He brought that little Pontiac Hornet, the silver and purple 80. Mm-hmm. Beautiful little Hornet car. Mm-hmm. Dave Stahl's Hornet with the little truck with the Earnhardt theme.
That was pretty cool.
We had some some nice. Craig Hansen's modified. How do you forget that one?
Oh, that thing's like the Katie's car. It always gets put back together. Even after it's roughed up, it just ends up pretty again. I wonder how they do that.
Here's one thing that I appreciate about the Hansen team, and I told these guys this. When they show up, whether it's at the car show here or throughout the race season, when I look at a race car, they do a race car how I would do it. I mean, how I would expect a race car to be done. All these crazy graphics on cars that they look cool. Sometimes it makes it hard to read the sponsors. You look at Craig's car and the Hansen team, and it is so professional looking. It's a white car. It's got the orange 33C. It's got their sponsors. Every one of them are legible. The car looks fast when it's sitting there. That they just do it to where it looks like something you'd see on TV. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. As far as the professionalism of the appearance of that team?
Yeah, you said not to mention any of that other stuff tonight.
The other stuff of?
The asphalt racing stuff. I'm not even going to say the name.
It's not even worth talking about.
You said it was on TV. So.
Well, we got dirt cars on TV too, but it's just such a professional-looking car. That's one thing that I appreciate about that car. But then there's cars like, you look at Jerry Schramm's wrap this year on the 16 car was out in front of Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a car that just looks like it's going to jump up and bite your head off. I mean, it had the skull wrap theme and just looks like it's just bad to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty cool wrap. A lot of people talked about that. Then you had, Joey Tanner's car looked like it was doing 200 miles an hour sitting there.
Well, I don't think a lot of people. There's actually flames on the roof on that thing. I don't think a lot of people noticed that.
Ryan Ronning's car with the blue and the orange, the contrast just, hits you in the face. It just stands out. I mean, there were so many beautiful cars. I would hate to be, and we're going to have to do it next year. So we talk about it, but we're going to have to do it next year. Just do a team vote from Moxie Media and Promotions on best appearing race car. I don't know if we're going to do it by category or if we're going to do it just overall. We'll figure that out. But, yeah, even Larry says I wouldn't want to be a judge for that. Every car was awesome. And it's true. We had some fantastic cars here. Mm-hmm. A lot of good conversations. Tell me something that happened while you were here at the car show. Tell me something that happened that really stood out for you. Did you have one of those deals where it was just kind of like, man, I'm going to remember this? I mean, what was something that just kind of...
Nothing really...
'cause you were all over the place.
Oh, yeah. I kept traveling. Nothing really popped out. I was most happy to see people I hadn't seen in months. And it was like the conversation never ended. There's just certain people that you don't see for a while. And,
absolutely. But
the conversation just picks right back up. And that's what the racetrack to me is the camaraderie, the fun. Even guys battling it out that have a rivalry or whatever, they still
get together, a little bench racing.
And they'll literally just, it's like the conversation just picked right back up where they left it off. And I think for me, the car show kind of starts getting me all energized up for the season.
It's kind of like that last big deal before the season starts and kind of gets everybody's adrenaline going. I bumped into Bob Boyd. Talked to Bob Boyd a little bit, had a good time. But I think the moment for me at the car show was I was actually way down by Baker's car and just kind of checking things, making sure people weren't getting in cars, window nets, all that good stuff. And on the way down, I see Virgil Hansen sitting on a bench by himself. I'm like, what's old Virgil doing? So I walk up and he says something. I sit down on the bench and had a conversation with Virgil for, 15 minutes. We sat there and talked. And here's the funny thing. We talked for, I'm not kidding, 15, 20 minutes and didn't talk about race cars. It was for me, when you're a little kid growing up at the racetrack and that's one of your heroes, and later in life as men, you get to sit down and have a conversation. It was pretty cool. It was one of those things that was kind of like, wow, this is, because now he's still one of those guys I would call one of my early childhood heroes. Mm-hmm. But to sit down as two men and just talk about life and not even mention racing, talked about our wives. He mentioned that his wife was off in some store shopping and had his credit card. And I said, race season's over.
Yeah.
He kind of laughed. But we had a really good time just talking about that. And I thought that was a really cool deal for me. And then, it's one of those deals where at that show, everybody's saying, hey, thank you for doing this. We don't do it for the thank yous, but to see how many people enjoy this show, it was it makes it all worth it. It's kind of like, wow, pretty cool deal.
I think one thing that was realized that now we know you're in trouble for this season coming up is Tom and I are a lot more alike than we realized.
Now, you guys are going to be awesome together.
But we're probably going to pick on you because as of Friday night, that was kind of the deal. I don't know how many people noticed, but we literally stand behind you and you're trying to direct, and we just kind of stand there and throw our hands up in the air and be all crazy, and you turn back around and we're all quiet again.
That's what I expect from you two monkeys. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
We got a good team. We've got a great team, and I like I said before, I even mentioned on Facebook, the hard work that you guys put into this deal. Everybody says, oh, thanks, Corey, thanks, Sandy. It's not just the two of us. You guys, between you and Joel and Dom and everything that was done by all of you guys, you guys deserve just as much credit as anybody else. Because you work your tails off putting this thing together with us. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that from each of you guys. I know that being the face of that deal, everybody says, hey, thanks, Corey, or thanks, Sandy, but you guys got to realize how much work the rest of this team puts into this deal. And it couldn't be done without you guys. So again, thank you to you and Dom and Joel and everything you guys have done to keep that show what it is. I mean, it's the premier Northwest Racecar Show.
Oh yeah,
it's a pretty cool deal. So, lots of people here in the mall. I know I had several merchant managers come into our store and say, "Hey, thanks for putting that show on. We didn't realize you were the one doing that. Our sales were through the roof," and it's almost something that they wish they could have something like that here every weekend. Unfortunately, we can't do that. But
we're busy racing in the summertime, folks.
That's right, and it's coming. Race season is coming.
29 days to the season opener at Willamette.
Cabin fever now.
Oh.
I know you're excited. Here's one thing that I watched. Because the Moxie Media and Promotions table, we're right in front. We're in the main section of the hallway, and we had Ryan Ronning and Joey Tanner parked kind of in front of our table. I watched a lot of people walk around and look at Joey's car. Then I watched you walk around that car, and I watched you look at every bar on that car. I watched you stand behind the car and look through that car and look at every angle, stand in the front, looking at just observing the bar placement on how because that chassis is different.
Mm-hmm.
I watched you and I'm not kidding you, I sat at the table for probably 20 minutes just watching you. You went over that car. I think you know that car better than Mike Miller now as far as angle those bars. And I even said to Sandy, I said, I know what he's doing. And she's looking over. I said, he's looking at every bar trying to figure out where he's going to put cameras on that car. And I know that's what you were doing.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the Longhorn of Katie over here in the corner of the 6M. I actually went tonight and mounted GoPros on both of theirs for their little weekend adventure coming up.
They're heading off to Winnemucca.
Yep. Hopefully we get some good footage there. We'll see. They've never operated cameras, so it could be Joel all over again. We never know.
But yours are easy. One button. You push it once.
I gave him the easy ones. That's a lot of the newer cars coming out. Even Joey was kind of looking at me. We had a conversation about it. He's like, well, what? And I go, I was looking at where to put cameras and what I would get good angles at. And he's like, there's a lot of places there. And I was like, yeah. So we might try a new one with him that might be like right in front of him. He actually gave me the okay already to do it. So
well, we'll see. But and I started looking at it. I thought, that's going to be kind of the way that car is built. It's going to be a little harder to get the angles that you like to get because of the way that car is fabricated.
Yeah, there's bars right in the way of where I would normally do it, and on the rear scares me too. After having Justin rip a rear camera off, I like to get in by the fuel cell.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that on Joey's car, so we might be losing another one. Doc always tells me to tether him with a lanyard on there, but I don't know if that's possible.
Well, we will see what we can and can't do on that car, and I know that you're going to make it the best possible angle you can. I'm going to turn you loose for the show just for a second. Boy. Entertain these guys. I'll be right back, okay?
Well, yeah, you go deep. Your mic's hot.
That's that one. Keep talking.
That one?
Car show is over. We've got that behind us. We can move on to our big season opener. Get going on that, and run the season opener with Willamette. Of course, doing some sales and shit. Anyway, anybody any stories that they want to talk about on the car show? Chime on in on the Spears Trucking chat line and we'll chat about it. And we're going to take our first commercial break right now. We'll be back in a few.
Do you wake up in the morning in a slump? Looking for a new career